Why the hippies failed. We've all heard about the peace and love movement that were led by the hippies back in the 1960s and 70s. And we know how these hippies preached peace and love. And if they were preaching peace and love, and we say that peace and love in many spiritual spheres say that love will be our savior. So why did this movement fail? Because at the end, these hippies were exactly what the establishment wanted. That when it comes to spirituality, if there is no embodiment, if everybody keeps on proclaiming and saying things and then acting in a different way, so if you say that peace and love is the way, but then as soon as you turn around, you start mistreating other people, then you are a hypocrite. And this is where the word hippies come from. It comes from hypocrites. So it is the, as I've said before, the false light. It is the do as I say, not as I do. Most of these hippies, they were proclaiming one thing and then living their lives in a totally different way. So is it that the peace and love movement failed? No. The peace and love movement never really happened because it wasn't embodied. It wasn't real. It was all empty words that these hypocrites were preaching, or I should say these hippies were preaching. So at the end, like one of my favorite quotes, be the change that you want to see in the world, these hippies were not the change that they wanted to see. They were just empty words. And so, how do we actually embody and change this reality? And it's by being true to your convictions. Is about being aligned with what you say. Is about being that change. And not to do one thing and, not to say one thing and do something else. It is about being aligned and being honorable and keeping your word. Because that's another thing. They were not genuine. They were not authentic. They weren't keeping their promises in a sense. And that's why the peace and love movement failed.